Welcome to the Stronger Tides Podcast, the podcast for small business entrepreneurs and corporate executives to learn more about increasing their client or employee retention through a group cruise program. Ready to drop anchor? Here's your host, travel advisor Rita Perez.
Hello. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode is going to be a little different. I know I keep saying that every couple of episodes, but really, quite honestly, time has gotten away from me. I have a lot of projects going on in the background, and I just haven't had opportunity to think about topics / pre-record topics. So we're just going to wing it, and I hope that you enjoy this winging of it. I wanted to bring you some cruise / travel news that is making at least the headlines in the travel world. I don't know how widely it's going on just in the mainstream media. The first thing I would like to happily bring to you is the CDC has decided to not advise a 14-day quarantine when you do any sort of travel. I think it was both international and domestic. They stopped that advisement. I know back in March, even I think in February, there were a couple companies that were like, well, if you travel out of state, if you travel overseas, you're going to have to do the 14-day quarantine. And I think more companies are going to start rolling that back because the CDC has begun to roll it back. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the coming days, weeks. So if you did not know, now you know. Other very interesting news is that the world is cruising, but us in America still aren't. I'm like, ooh, I just want to get out there again. But, you know, we're such a big country and some people are doing the right things. Some people are not doing the right things. So hence we are all punished for it. So I had heard that this company called TUI, which is like one of the subsidiaries of Royal Caribbean International, they had started sailing, I don't know, maybe it's almost been like 3 or 4 weeks now out of Germany. It's a German line. And I had seen some vloggers put out information and it seemed to be going really, really well. Actually, one of my favorite vloggers, Morgan from the Very Unofficial Travel Guides, I've been following him on Instagram because he is having the best time on the Mein Schiff too. And it is making me super jealous and I can't wait. Just beautiful views, delicious food. Like, oh my cruise ship food, come back to me. Pictures with a balcony, awesome entertainment. And most of all, they're doing the right things. They're doing the right safety protocols. I bring that up because a line that you probably know a little bit better, it's starting to gain a little bit of traction here in the United States, is called MSC Cruises. Now, you might know them as shipping containers, but they actually did open a leisure like cruise ship. It's not anything like freight or otherwise, but they just started sailing. I believe the ship is the MSC Meraviglia or Viglia, however it's supposed to be pronounced. And they are having another amazing time. I just read an article literally a couple minutes ago that was saying that they're doing such a great job over in Italy that they're extremely hopeful for the U.S. market starting back in November. Because remember, the CDC blocked us again, and so the last extension goes through October. So November 1st may be the kickoff day here in the States, and I so can't wait. But one of the notable things, if you haven't seen it floating around, is that MSC is not playing. And I'm so happy for that because I think the only way for us to make progress in our industry is to tighten the ship, tighten the belt. So MSC, what they are doing, you can buy shore excursions, but you have to buy their shore excursions. And when you purchase their shore excursions, you cannot deviate. So you must stay with the group. You can't wander off. You can't go off on your own. That's not allowed anymore. And that is to create what they call a protected bubble. This not only protects you as a cruise ship passenger on the ship, but this also protects the port that you're visiting. It's really a win-win situation for both parties because it really is teamwork. We have to make these connections and partnerships with each other, or else this is not going to work in the future. And it's just going to take longer. I know lots of ports want to remain closed, so part of their stipulations as opening up is that cruise ship passengers are going to have to go on cruise ship sponsored excursions. They cannot deviate from that. So while cruise ship passengers have been tested before they get onto the MSC, and it sounds like they're extensively tested, you get the whole nose swab, throat swab before you get on the MSC ship. If you test negative, go ahead. If the test is inconclusive, you have to wait a little bit and then you retest. If you retest and you're positive, you're not getting on the ship. But going back to the port and the shore excursions, this partnership of, yes, we'll let you come into our port, but there have to be rules and you have to be contained. This is safety for the port. This is safety for the cruise ship. This is safety for the cruise lines and yourself. So you should want to heed those warnings. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not going to go cruising. If it's going to be like that, then don't go cruising. I am more than happy. If that's what I have to do to go cruising, I will do it. And I will do whatever fun shore excursion they have planned. I believe they still do have options just like a regular cruise. You just can't, you go with your chaperone onto the tour and then you come back on the ship with your chaperone. So there's no extensive shopping or maybe trying out local food that's not within what the tour is. But anyways, that was a whole long explanation, but I think you needed to know the back end of that too. Hey, interested in getting an actual numbers comparison of a land retreat versus a cruise retreat? Honestly, when I was putting this document together, I couldn't even believe the great difference between the numbers. Visit StrongerTidesPodcast.com to be added to my weekly email list and get the download now. Back to the show. So a family decided that they weren't going to follow the rules. So they went on the excursion and then they deviated. Well, when they got back to the port, guess who was not allowed on the ship? The family. I was like, oh, I can't believe they actually did that. But I'm like, yes! Somebody needs to stick up for the cruise industry, essentially. We're not messing around here. There's so much at stake. You don't know how many people have been affected by this, not including myself and fellow travel advisors, but you have the cruise lines. And I know you're probably thinking, no, those millionaires, billionaires, but there are the call center agents that help you. There's people that help and assist me to make sure that I give you guys the best service that I can. There's the porters at the docks that depend on your tip money so that they can provide for their families. It is the servers and the bartenders and the entertainment crew and the front desk crew on the ship that have to provide for their families. It is the captains. It is the store shop owners that are in the port. There's so many people who have been affected by this, and it just needs to end. And I'm not saying we need to end COVID, but we need to find a way to collectively work together so that we can get back. I'm not saying back to normal because the world is not going to be normal from this, but we need to find a way to move forward so that people can get back to some semblance of their lives and they can stop stressing out over money issues. And enough is enough. So hurrah, bravo, kudos to you, MSC. When I saw that article, I'm like, yes, I was super proud to be in this super awesome, amazing industry. Now, what does this mean to you since you are the client? You are taking your groups out on these cruise ships. I think this is super awesome news. Really some of the best news that I've heard in a while, because it means that we are that much closer to getting back on the ships. I'm not saying it's 100% going to be totally safe and fine, nothing will ever happen. I think the last, 5-6 months can attest for there are no guarantees when it comes to this virus and the world that we're living in right now. But I do think that these are small little steps that are going to massively push us forward to where we need to be, to getting back on the oceans, getting back to traveling, getting back to making connections and building those bonds with each other. I think everybody incredibly needs it now more than ever, even in the beginning. I know myself, I am still one of those people. I have not gone into any stores since March. I'm sure there's not that many of me. I know there's still a few, but I don't think there's that many as there were before. But I'm slowly trying to get out of my shell, and I'm actually thinking about doing a couple small weekend trips in the future. But man, it feels good, and I don't know what else to say from that. Just that it's positive news, and I think it's where we need to be going. And that is my little news update for you. I might actually do another little news update for you next week. I don't know if there's going to be anything in the headlines, knock on wood. But this week is my trade association's annual conference, and of course it is virtually. So I'm going to try and attend as many sessions as I can, or at least listen to them. So I'm going to have a very busy week, ergo this podcast on the fly. But I say that I might do another news week next week because with the trade association, I'm sure there's going to be lots of maybe some big announcements and all that are going to be happening. And I am going to be doing some one-on-ones with some cruise lines to see what options are out there in regards to the corporate world and corporate retreats at sea, or just doing any sort of retreat at sea. So hopefully I can bring you some fun new information, or at least some insights as to what I learned. And so, yeah, I don't know what else to say. So we are going to stop this. Please let me know, though, if you did enjoy this kind of news commentary version of the podcast, and if you'd like more, or if you just want me to stick to what I regularly do. All right, have a great week, guys.
Thanks for joining us on the Stronger Tides podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast. And if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating or a share with your colleagues. Find us on social media at Rita Ventures Group Cruising and online at ritaventures.net. Until next time, happy sailing.